Tonight, sewage bubbles to the surface on a North Shore property.
You know, that needs to be sorted straight away. There's no ifs or buts.
Sediment runoff from a building site creates a nightmare.
Still haven't got anything in place, and I've spoken to you before.
And in Dunedin, vermin and food don't mix.
It's not boding very well for this bakery, is it?
On Auckland's North Shore, Compliance and Monitoring Officer Graham Jones is heading out for a routine building inspection. But on arrival, the situation turns out to be anything but routine.
As we're walking up to the property, we've noticed that there's some water coming off the berm here, and it looks to be still running. There's evidence of it there running down. There's a bit of a smell to it, so it could potentially be sewage. So when we have a look in the property, we'll have a bit of a look around, see what we can find.
Smell is a good indication. Ideally, the effluent would be tested, but that would take valuable time.
There's certainly a bit of a smell to it, but having said that, you can sort of half smell it a little bit around the corner as well, so I don't know. We'll have a look anyway. It might be self-evident when we get inside the property.
Raw sewage is an extremely dangerous risk to public health, so speed is of the essence.
Hiya, I'm Graham Jones from North Shore City Council. Are you aware of any water leaks? There's water coming on the pavement there, because there's still water coming out the ground, that's why I was asking.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure because the landlady came yesterday and she said someone is going to fix it.
We just parked the car outside. I mean, I've come to look at the deck, but we're parked outside and there's water still coming out of the ground there and running across the pavement, so
Okay.
we'll probably need to have a look at that. I would say that's where the water problem is anyway. But you can see it's definitely still running out wherever it is.
Graham's learned that work was done on the drain the previous day. There's obvious signs of the ground being dug over.
Because it does smell of sewage, you can see it all down the fence line wet. So obviously whatever problem they fixed yesterday hasn't been fixed.
Pathogens found in raw sewage, such as norovirus, hepatitis A and salmonella, will cause critical illness.
You know, that needs to be sorted straight away. There's no ifs or buts. I suspect probably the sewer's blocked from that point on, because it looks to me as if someone's been in it recently, perhaps rotted it through. So it's obviously not worked.
With the blocked section located on the property, responsibility now lies with the owner, who must be notified urgently. Failure to act immediately may result in costly bills and fines. Meanwhile, Environmental Protection Officer Paul White, also from the North Shore City Council, has a busy day ahead. The North Shore region is experiencing more building and construction work than nearly anywhere else in the country. And with all that work comes all kinds of risks to the environment and public health. Today, Paul's heading out for a second visit to a building development, where poor site management is threatening surrounding bush and waterways.
What we have here is just a new development site under construction. It started about 3 weeks ago. Ideally, you'd like them to install their sediment and silt control just before they start works on site. As they're 3 weeks into it, there's no excuses why they shouldn't have sediment and silt control on site.
Sediment is the fine soil that gets removed by wind and rain. It's a big problem because it blocks up stormwater systems and streams, and it can silt up our estuaries and harbours, causing massive damage to plant and animal life.
This is remnant forest and plantings that North Shore City Council has undertaken. As you can see here, we have just a little stream which ends up becoming a creek and ends up in the Lucas Creek, and then through to the Waitemata Harbour and out to the Hauraki Gulf. So by protecting sediment at the source, we end up ensuring that what happens at the end of the line is maintained.
On a neighbouring building site, Paul shows us what's required.
And basically all it is a filter cloth which filters out all the sediment and allows the water to still pass through. And this ends up protecting our waterways. All that needs to be done is dug into the ground. It takes about 2 hours of hard work to put silt fence around the site, and probably costs about $200. The alternative is a $750 fine, so you do the maths.
Paul visited this site 3 weeks ago and told them they had to put up a sediment trap.
Oh yeah, you're the site manager for the site? Yep. Just here to talk about sediment and silt control on site. Still haven't got anything in place, and I've spoken to you before. So yeah, we need to get sediment and silt control in place ASAP.
Despite the previous warning, it appears nothing has been done.
I'll show you just some sediment and silt control that's installed on the other site. It's what I expect.
This is a site manager's last chance. If he doesn't play ball, then he faces a costly penalty and an abatement notice which will legally require him to fix the problem.
Need to try and use the same material as this. So when do you think you can have it installed?
Next week.
Next week? So if I turn up on Wednesday, should be installed? Given the history of the site, we've already spoken to them on 2 previous occasions. They haven't installed anything yet. The onset of rain this weekend, it is likely that an abatement notice and a fine is going to be issued.
Down in Dunedin now, Environmental Health Officers Wayne Boss and Athol Kirk are heading out for a regular day of inspecting. They're part of a team that monitors the safety practices of 640 food premises, 112 hairdressers, 43 beauticians, 10 piercing and tattoo parlours, and even 4 mortuaries. But this morning, Wayne and Athol are visiting a production bakehouse, and it's a surprise inspection.
Hello. Hello. Hi. I'm Wayne. I'm from Environmental Health.
This production bakehouse currently holds a coveted A grade. If they're going to hang on to it, their standards have to be top-notch.
Outside, are these the only areas connected with your business that you use?
Yeah,
right.
The rest is all more.
It's all somebody else. Okay. Champion.
The inspection will begin out the back, where the main storeroom is located.
These are a big part of bakeries because there's absolutely loads of dried ingredients and that. And we're really interested in dry goods stores because they're very, very attractive places for pests and that. Before I go in, I want to always look at the integrity of the structure, that it's vermin-proof.
Wayne's not only looking for possible entry points, he's also on the lookout for signs that pests may have already got in, like rat or mice droppings in out-of-the-way places.
So we're in the main dry goods store where all the flour is, and if we have a little look under here, you'll see that there's quite a lot of mice droppings. And the thing is about it, we've got food that's quite open and exposed. If you look at here, this is going to be the fat for the pastry making, and that's perfectly open, right? And it doesn't take a great deal of effort for mice to get chewing through sacks. See there is a mice dropping on top of the sack of flour. Can you see that? That's just too close for comfort, really. I've got mice dropping on top of a bag of flour that's going to go into your pastry to make your pie, and that ain't great.
If there was any doubt about the culprit, Wayne goes from droppings to drop dead.
Oh, you're joking. What a laugh, eh? Yeah, there he is. He's
all desiccated.
well, he's dried up, eh? He's enjoying himself in here, nice and warm. Well, it's not boding very well for this bakery, is it, at the moment?
On Auckland's North Shore, Building and Compliance Officer Graham Jones had stumbled across a sewage leakage whilst out and about on a routine inspection.
You know, that needs to be sorted straight away. There's no ifs or buts. I suspect probably the sewer's blocked from that point on, because it looks to me as if someone's been in it recently, perhaps rodded it through. And it's obviously not worked.
Following up now is Fiona Eames from the Council's Environment Health Team and contractors organised by a responsible and fast-acting landlord. Drain technicians Ryan and Andy are experts at dealing with sewage leaks. They soon notice a problem around the pipe joins at the base of the concrete drain.
The pipes have come apart and we've got heavy root intrusion pretty much. There to reseal the channel with epoxy resin.
Tree roots and sewage pipes aren't a happy mix. Roots are attracted to water, especially water rich in nutrients.
Probably 90% of our work is root intrusion in sewer pipes.
Raw sewage is a health hazard because once it hits the surface, a lot of people can just walk through it and get exposed to a lot of pathogenic bacteria, get sick. In this case, it was flowing across here, under the fence and across the footpath. Kids walk through that, ride their bikes, play, and no one would be any the wiser. Sometimes it can smell pretty gross and that gives it away and people avoid it, but other times it doesn't.
Before they can begin repairs, Ryan and Andy need to clean all the surfaces they're going to be working on.
What we're going to do is use a 2-part epoxy, mix it up, and it sets like harder than concrete, sets like steel, and it's easier to knead into place rather than using cement because the cement stays wet and it can be washed away when the drain's used. So this stuff's the best to use in this situation and does a better job.
But being a drain technician doesn't come without its hazards.
Worst thing, probably getting covered in shit, pretty much. Just hit splashback, real bad splashback, and that's not nice. We've seen people come and try and do this job, they've lasted 2 days. Yeah. Can't put up with it, never come back.
An exceptionally smelly job, yes, but there are also some very real risks.
But the worst one we've ever come across is Weir's disease, which is rat urine. You get that, and if you don't catch it quick enough, discover what you've got, you're dead within 48 hours. So it's not a good one.
Better known as leptospirosis, animal urine, if breathed into the lungs or passed through skin, mouth, eyes or nose, is extremely dangerous and can be deadly.
Due to the nature of the job and the germs and diseases, we have to have regular inoculations for different diseases, hepatitis being one of them, and then there's your tetanus, polio, typhoid, so we've got to be pretty well covered. Last thing you want to do is get one of them.
So with the epoxy putty coating all of the cracks and broken joints and creating a perfect seal, Fiona's more than satisfied.
Thanks heaps.
And the sewage is now moving freely again, down in the wastewater system where it belongs, well clear of the unsuspecting public.
It's all done, there's no overflow, wastewater overflow, so nothing's going to get into the stormwater drains and end up in a creek and a beach somewhere, so that problem's been solved.
Back with Environmental Protection Officer Paul White. He's overseeing the removal of just some of the sediment that's caused by lack of control on North Shore housing developments.
What this is a stormwater pond, which is being created in response to the development in this catchment.
There are over 1,500 building projects underway on the North Shore. Many involve excavation. Without control, there's a high chance of sediment runoff into one of the region's 11,000 stormwater drains.
This is the sediment that's entered the stormwater system, and we've been able to capture it here before it enters our streams and rivers.
Not only is it a costly exercise emptying these ponds, a lot of stormwater doesn't pass through catchment ponds. That's why Paul and other council inspectors have to ensure builders follow the regulations on sediment control. He'll need to go back to check on the site. Meanwhile, down in Dunedin, Environmental Health Officer Wayne Boss is continuing his inspection of a bakery with a rodent problem.
Well, it's not boding very well for this bakery, is it, at the moment?
Capable of transmitting hundreds of diseases, rodents are a serious health risk and need to be properly controlled. The evidence here suggests the operator has been trying to manage them himself.
For me, what I've seen, it just looks like homemade boxes. It just looks like a self-done job. The problem is of a self-done job is anybody who's running this business checking for evidence rather than just putting a bait down there. We're not just putting the dinner down and inviting them. We should be checking, and as a business owner, the evidence from what I've seen is not checking, because you'd find this sort of thing.
So to ensure public safety, Wayne needs to have a stern word with the operator and take immediate action under the Dunedin City bylaws.
I'm glad you've joined us. I was just coming to get you.
Yeah.
You got a bit of a problem.
What's that?
Well, you got furry friends here.
Hey?
I've just pulled him out from underneath there. Right. You've got droppings all underneath shelving here. And you've got a dropping on top of your flour bag there.
Oh, that must just be fresh, mate.
Yeah, that's what I'm interested in. I think it's fresh. There's enough.
Because I have been checking and I haven't,
Yeah.
to be honest, I haven't seen any signs.
Have you seen the ones under there? Get your torch. Just have a squint at the amount under there.
Oh, there's quite a few there, isn't there?
There is, isn't there? This is the scenario, right? Food businesses and vermin don't go together.
Oh, I agree. I totally agree, mate.
Which you know.
Back in Dunedin with Health Inspector Wayne Boss.
I've just pulled him out from underneath there. Right. You've got droppings all underneath shelving here. And you've got a dropping on top of your flour bag there.
Oh, that must just be fresh, mate.
There's a rodent problem in a bakehouse, and Wayne is about to deliver a plan of action to the operator.
So the picture's not looking rosy for you because you're going to be closed.
Hey?
You're going to be closed. There's no way we can have a bakery running with an active vermin infestation, right? But what I want to talk about is the measures that you can take to turn this round, right? But you're not going to be producing any more food from here until we've got this turned round, right?
This is going to be hard on the operator, but Wayne's concern has to be public safety.
Here's what I think you need to do. Number one, you need to engage the services of a professional pest control contractor, right?
In addition to this, the storeroom must be completely cleared out.
You need to be able to see every wall, floor, junction, ceiling, and really look to see if there's absolutely no holes, no gaps where they could get in, and they only need to be as big as your finger.
Wayne continues the inspection in the bakery area, checking for more signs of dirt and pests.
Really poor cleaning now, beneath and behind a lot of their units and that. I expect a bakery to have a fair bit of dust, but what I'm seeing in there is stuff that's accumulated over days and days and days and days. It's just nowhere near. They're not on the game at all. Currently, the existing licence with Dunedin City Council, the premises was trading as a Grade A premises. That visit was done a year ago. So a lot can change in a year, and obviously what's clearly evident today is he took his eye off the plot, really. Which is disappointing, really disappointing. But I think he shares that disappointment as well. So that's a shame. We'll work with him to try and get him back up to that, but he won't get back to an A nor a. You don't jump from a sufficient reasons to close a premises to an excellent standard of an A. It'll probably take him at least a year, if not more, to get back to that standard.
Back on Auckland's North Shore, Environmental Protection Officer Paul White is revisiting a problem building site. After repeated attempts to get the site manager to put in a system that controls sediment runoff, this is the operator's last chance before a $750 fine and abatement notice will be issued. And surprise, surprise.
So what we can actually see, they've actually installed silt fence on site. As you can see, it's actually been dug into the ground, sitting up high and upright. The waratahs are spaced quite nicely. It's hard up against the reserve boundary as well. The crucial bits are the lowest points. Water naturally flows downhill, and so there's going to be a collection point somewhere. So we've got to make sure that that area in particular is dug into the ground. It's not looking too bad. It's actually installed pretty well in comparison to a few other sites that we come across. It's nicely dug in, it's nice and taut. So you know that the silt fence is going to work, it's going to do its job.
Finally, a good result for Paul. Environmental protection measures are in place.
The threat of an abatement notice did get the desired effect, and that was the installation of sediment and silt control on site.
So the site manager narrowly escapes penalties this time, but he will remain under the close eye of Paul and the environmental protection team.
Because you've already installed it, there's no fine given to you today. Yeah. But basically what this is telling you that if it fails for any reason or you don't maintain it correctly, then you do get a fine and it's instant. But that's the covering letter, and this is your abatement notice.
It's one day since Dunedin Environmental Health Officers Wayne Boss and Athol Kirk closed down a production bakehouse after discovering a serious vermin infestation.
So the picture's not looking rosy for you because you're going to be closed.
Hey?
You're going to be closed. There's no way we can have a bakery running with an active vermin infestation, right?
But today, things couldn't be more different. Professional pest controllers have been hard at work, coupled with a cleaning overhaul.
So that's real good, a real massive improvement from yesterday. Cleaned absolutely everywhere, sanitised it. You can actually smell the genola bleach in the air. All food's removed from the storage area. There's no food in there, there's nothing in there. He did find a couple of holes. He's plugged those up. We've checked over 7 different pest bait stations and there's been no take of the bait. So we're really pleased with that. We want to see a little bit more consistency with the rear store, that it's cleared over the next few days. So we've told him to keep that out of use, no storage in there, but he can start production in his bakery, which was clear from pests yesterday, and keep all the stock in there, and we'll come back early next week.
Over the following months, the operator continued to work with Wayne and the team on improving his food safety practices and is now operating with a B grade.